Are you aware that 3 years ago in 2017, according to Dr. Scott Thomas of American Addiction Centers, the Native American drug abuse rate was 5 percentage points higher than any other ethnicity in the United States? Back in 2009, these rates were much the same, as you can see here. You might be asking why this is the case. I'll tell you. The United States government has mistreated the Native American population from the start, and the abundance of drug use in reservations is only one consequence. I have done significant research on this topic now and in the past. Today I will share some of these findings with you, including an outlining of the problems Native Americans face and have faced, and what we as a nation can do to help remedy this traumatic situation. Firstly, I'd like to explain the problems and issues Native Americans face and have faced over the decades. To start, I think I should explain how the drug abuse rate factors into all this. The higher percentage of drug use among America's Native people is a direct result of how the U.S. government has treated them. When our ancestors took their lands and shipped them off to reservations, the various people groups became despondent and completely reliant on the United States government to fulfill their basic needs. From personal experience, I know that a far greater percentage of Native Americans are on food stamps than any other race in America. So not only have we taken away their land and giving them subpar replacements at a fraction of the size, but we have also taken away their self-reliance and thus, in many cases, their personal pride. Feeling trapped, many Native Americans turn to drugs and alcohol to help numb the pain caused by the situation they're in. Another massive problem facing Native Americans is unemployment. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the unemployment rate in 2018 for the Native American population was 6.6%, nearly twice the amount for the whole country at 3.9%. Native Americans were also less likely to be looking for work, with only 59.6% of them actively working compared to 62.9% for the rest of the U.S. As can be seen from this chart, these trends have remained fairly consistent from 2003 through 2018, which could reasonably imply that these trends will remain consistent. Once again, this rate of unemployment can be directly traced back to a reliance on the American government and the spiritual problem associated with this. The last thing I'd like to talk about is the loss of American culture. One of the most tragic things lost by the Native Americans is their way of life or their culture. As Americans continued colonizing further to the west, the native peoples of these regions often suffered prejudice and were pressured or forced to conform to Western society. For the Ottawa people of Michigan and Oklahoma specifically, this meant giving up their religious beliefs and adopting Christianity, changing the way they dressed and maintained their hair, enrolling in American schools, and even something as harmless as changing their hunting habits. Similar requirements were forced upon various native peoples all throughout the Americas, and these forced changes had significant impact on the mental well-being of natives everywhere. In fact, according to Native Hope, suicide is the second most common cause of death among Native American youths, and they maintain that this is because of the tragic loss of Native culture. Obviously, all of this shows that there is a drastic need for change in how we handle this crisis. Next, I would like to discuss what we can do to help this neglected demographic. There are a few things the nation could do or is doing to help. First thing I'd like to talk about here is the Alcohol and Substance Abuse Program, or ASAP. ASAP is a governmental program dedicated to reducing the prevalence of drug and alcohol abuse in Native American communities. They offer substance abuse programs such as emergency treatment and rehabilitation within Native American communities and are usually operated by the tribe itself. They are also intent on promoting living a healthy lifestyle and family and community interaction and support. Doing whatever we can to aid and continue this service is certainly important, but fixing the drug problem is only one part of the issue. The main issue affecting Native Americans is their dependency on the American government, and I believe doing whatever we can to solve this issue is our most important course of action. Combating unemployment would be the most streamlined way we can alleviate this issue. Our government should initiate specific programs to help encourage Native Americans to look for employment and stand on their own 2 feet. As I've said, these people's reliance on the government has had a tragic effect on their self-esteem. If we could get these people in stable careers and off of food stamps, I believe it would do wonders for their outlook on life. And from there, many of their other issues, such as substance abuse, suicide, and depression, would begin to vanish. Lastly, I think it's very important to encourage these people to both integrate into our society and maintain their culture as best as they can. For example, the government could offer programs to help Native American children learn about business or entrepreneurial skills. On the other hand, the government could also initiate a program to teach children their sparsely used native tongues. If we do what we can to help resolve these issues, the results could be astounding. When Native Americans as a whole finally have stable jobs, they could begin focusing on other important things such as bettering their lives or doing what they can to rebuild their culture. Imagine diverse tribes from all over the United States finally on equal standing with the rest of the country. Think about thousands and thousands of people free from the grips of drug and alcohol addiction, ready to take their places in society. Watch as suicide rates drop because young natives now have a rich and robust culture to be proud of instead of a decaying corpse to be disappointed in. I'm not saying any of this is going to be easy. In fact, I imagine it will be quite difficult. But with some effort and compassion, I believe we can make a big impact in these people's lives. Here's what you can personally do to help. You could donate money to Native American-centered projects and programs, volunteer at a reservation, bring awareness to Native American issues online or in person, purchase Native-made goods, learn about Native American history, or even contact trusted politicians to help bring this issue up at the federal level. I know it's a daunting issue, and you probably don't feel like you're important enough to make any real change. But if what I've said resonated with you even a little bit, I implore you to do whatever you can to help because these people need it desperately. Thank you.